So the iPod Touch came out so many years ago, but what's so funny is that I still occasionally actually still look and use my iPod Touch from time to time. Now, I don't use it every single day, like I use it, every when I can, honestly, whenever I can. But the thing with the iPod Touch is that this was, up until last year, one of the devices that I actually looked at and used as a device to kind of try to test out certain older applications on older devices. So there was a moment where I was kind of using and, basically using my older iPod Touch mostly for some sort of older applications. So back in the day, you would be able to download certain apps that you can't really do anymore. And the funny thing is, at a certain point, Apple basically took this limit off. And if you wanted to use a certain older application, you basically had to go ahead and find a way to basically find the IPA file and then go ahead and basically, install that IPA file on a phone that was supported. Now, at the time, all of my phones, I just wouldn't have been able to install that specific application on them because I was basically using them for videos. So I didn't want to go ahead and factory reset my, devices all the time. So the main reason why I go ahead and basically use my iPod Touch now was because it was an older iOS device that I had. And much like how most developers, now I'm not a developer, but for developers who do actually go ahead and use, Xcode and different things to make iOS apps, well, you can actually go ahead and use an iPod Touch, which was the cheapest way to get into the Apple ecosystem on your specific, device, which is so cool. So you could install those IPA files, and if you wanted to use certain older applications, you'd be able to. But on top of that, another thing that I usually did with my iPod Touch was to actually go ahead and essentially use it as some sort of old iOS buffer for some of my iPhone 7s. So what that means is that I would go ahead and use this as a way to compare other iPhones that were very similar to this, basically like the iPhone 7. I would test things against it all the time. So things like, the Apple A10 Fusion chip, comparison between two devices, I would go ahead and do that, and so many other things between there. So those types of things were really awesome and I really like that. But for the most part, I wouldn't really recommend buying any iPod Touch anymore. I think it might be kind of a waste of money. And if you're planning on getting some sort of iPod, just keep in mind Apple isn't really making iPods anymore. So there's less and less and less reasons to go ahead and buy something like an iPod Touch. And it makes more and more reasons and more sense to go ahead and buy something like like iPhone 8, iPhone 11. Those types of iPhones make a lot more sense to buy than something like, this one in this specific situation. So in terms of that, to be honest, that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.